Welcome back. A shooting at Active Hill Castries and a vehicular accident at Lafargue Choiseul prompted St. Lucia Fire Service responses Monday night. According to Fire Service spokesperson Stacey Joseph, officers at the Vieux-Fort Fire Station responded to a call at around 7:30 p.m. Monday at Lafargue Choiseul.
Emergency personnel found a vehicle which had ran off the road with its passenger side wedged in a drain. A male individual was found trapped inside the vehicle, prompting the use of extrication devices. The patient sustained multiple visible fractures to his legs. He was quickly mobilized and provided rapid emergency transportation to a medical facility. He remained stable en route and was handed over to a medical practitioner.
At about 8:10 p.m., emergency personnel at the Fire Service headquarters responded to a call regarding a shooting at Active Hill.
On scene, the responders found a male individual appearing to be in his 20s in a sitting position. An assessment of the patient revealed a penetrating wound on his body. He was transferred to the ambulance where his wound was bandaged, and he was subsequently provided rapid emergency transportation to the OKEU hospital for further medical care.
That was Fire Service spokesperson Stacey Joseph. While the Ministry of Health continues to roll out its COVID-19 vaccination campaign, members of the public are still not convinced that taking the vaccine is the safest thing to do. The president of the St. Lucia Medical and Dental Association says that sensitization needs to be front and center if people are to put their trust in the professionals. Nisha Charles reports.
St. Lucia's national COVID-19 vaccination campaign may be hampered by vaccine skeptics who say that the COVID-19 vaccines are not for them and should not be trusted. These theories are not only from St. Lucians but the world over, as coronavirus vaccination campaigns are off to a slow start in many countries, overshadowed by heated political debates and conspiracy theories. Prior to the rollout of its vaccination campaign, the Ministry of Health had promised to embark on a sensitization campaign to demystify and educate the public on why they should take the vaccines. The St. Lucia Medical and Dental Association says more work needs to be done in that regard if the country's efforts are to pay off.
We at the St. Lucia Medical and Dental Association recognize that as it pertains to the COVID-19 vaccines, there is a lot of misinformation. There are so many conspiracy theories, from Bill Gates is going to insert chips inside you, to those vaccines could cause so many different things that they range from somewhat credible to ludicrous. But we recognize that there is a lot that needs to be done as it pertains to educating the general public. So there are many people who believe that those vaccines were developed very quickly, at warp speed literally, and for that reason they don't trust it, because there is the perception that shortcuts were taken and in the long run this may cause more harm than good. We understand the skepticism, we understand the hesitation, and we understand that we have a very important role along with the Ministry of Health in correcting some of the fallacies as it pertains to the vaccine.
Dr. Clark says that to date, most of the association's members have been inoculated and are doing well. She called on as many St. Lucians as possible to take the vaccine to safeguard their lives as well as that of their loved ones.
The important thing about not just the AstraZeneca but all the other vaccines is that they prevent serious illness and they prevent hospitalization and certainly death. And at the end of the day, this is what we're looking for. We have lost 36 precious St. Lucian lives. That is 36 lives too many. We cannot afford to lose more. We have to protect our elderly. We have to protect our children who at this point are not eligible to be vaccinated because the trials did not include children when they were being done. There are currently trials on the way which include children, but prior to now that had not been done.
Dr. Clark insists that until St. Lucia can reach herd immunity, the country will not be able to return to normalcy.
So everybody's asking, when can we return to normalcy? When can we stop wearing masks? When can we stop the physical distancing? When can we see our grandparents? We cannot do those things until we reach herd immunity, when the odds of somebody becoming infected are quite low. When we get to a point that COVID-19, as some people say, is somewhat like another flu. We're still seeing new variants of this thing coming out. So this is still a very real issue, a very real pandemic. The vaccine provides us with hope, the hope that we can get through this.
The vaccines remain free to the public and will be administered on a voluntary basis. For the Hot 7 News, Nisha Charles reporting.
The St. Lucia Labour Party has expressed disappointment with the UWP's handling of the banana industry. MP for Dennery North, Sean Edwards, says that over the last 4.5 years, the plight of banana farmers has only worsened against bold promises by the UWP government. He cited the promise of new markets for banana farmers in Martinique and France by extension.
Farmers who had already left the industry, because of the pronouncements made by the UWP, decided to return to the farms. They went to the financial institutions to get small loans, to get materials, to begin to work the land again. And 5 years after the pronouncements were made, not a single bunch, not a single box of bananas has been exported to France. But instead, what we saw as a result of the pronouncements and the promises made by the UWP, when farmers returned to the fields, we saw an increase in production because they were promised a new market in the French territory. And when it was time to harvest the increased production, there were no markets available to the farmers, and bananas that originally were planted for export had to be left to rot on the farm.
Meanwhile, Agriculture Minister Ezekiel Joseph has fired back at Moses Jabatis, saying that the opposition SLP is fully aware of the challenges faced when dealing with the French market. He has called on the SLP to stop laboring on the issue.
Since we came in, I was invited to Martinique to meet with the company, the farmers' organization in Martinique, and the Prime Minister and myself were invited to go to France to meet with the importers in France. Following these two visits, we were given a commitment by the company in France through our organization at the time, Winfresh UK, to have a trial shipment for 3 months of 3 20-feet containers of bananas to France. We had a shipment that left St. Lucia. Unfortunately, and that's the problem, unfortunately, we could not have met the requirements as was described to us, and that is they wanted 22 clusters, 6 finger in a cluster in a box of bananas. We could not have done that because of the size of our fingers. So when we did the shipment, we had, in some instances, 22, we had 20, and we had 18 clusters. Unfortunately, we have not been able to meet the requirements. So when I'm hearing that we made commitments and we have not fulfilled the commitments, yes, we did. But the problem we had was that because of the size of our fingers, we could not have met that specific description.
Minister Joseph says that since then, government has engaged with the company for the export of loose fruits, but COVID-19 has halted that effort. The government of St. Lucia has expanded COVID-19 testing by designating the forensic lab as an approved lab for PCR testing. The director of the lab, Fernanda Henry, says the facility is indeed pleased to assist in the fight against COVID-19. Ensuring that everything is up to par for PCR testing has been quite a task.
We are so excited and so thrilled to be able to participate and to be able to contribute to expanding our national testing capacity, because we understand that we are having this third surge in COVID-19 cases, and we want to be able to assist the efforts so that we can quickly identify those among us who are sick, and so that they can be treated and take the numbers down. So much preparation has gone into this, and we had to ensure that our facilities were up to standard for COVID-19 testing. Similarly, we had to ensure that we had all of our protocols in place. We're piggybacking off of the technology that we already use for DNA technology, and that is for DNA testing, and that is PCR technology. So that aspect of it we already do, and we've been doing it since 2010. However, we had to tweak certain things because now we're working with a virus, and so we had to tweak our protocols to be able to accommodate the COVID-19 testing in our environment.
Henry says staff members have put in a lot of work to make headway with not just COVID-19 testing, but also DNA testing. She also touts the overall support of the government toward the facility.
We have purchased 2 new pieces of equipment. The first one is going to be shipped in short order. It's which upgrades our DNA machines. We have kind of a bottom of the rung machine at the moment. Actually, the first generation genetic analyzer, the machine that produces the DNA profile. We have a first generation one, but with the approvals from the government, we have purchased an upgrade to one that has 4 capillaries as opposed to 1 capillary, so we can do 4 samples at any one time. And further to that, we recently received approval from the Minister of Finance to purchase a machine that will allow us to do genetic sequencing. So you know the sequencing that they talk about, trying to sequence the virus, the COVID-19 virus. We will have that capability with this new piece of equipment that we will be getting shortly. So the support has been tremendous, and we've also acquired new staff. We have 2 new staff members on board, and we hopefully will be getting a 3rd one in very short order as well. So we just continue to build the capacity of the laboratory.
The director says the facility has certainly come a long way and efforts are still ongoing to continuously boost capacity. You're watching the Hot 7 TV Nightly News. We'll be right back.